The F1 season hasn't even started yet, but there's already a row brewing over the legality of one of the title contenders' cars. Craig Slater is here to explain all. Craig, before we get to that, Mercedes have given us a first look at their lovely, shiny silver new car. What's caught your eye in particular?
Well, they are actually one of the teams at the centre of this controversy, and it's actually more about the engine than the actual car, but we can take a look at the car here. Yeah. This is it. I have to say this is a render rather than an actual photograph of the car, so it's computer generated, but it is, I am told, a genuine 2026 design, even if there'll be modifications by the time maybe this hits the track, and it's due to do so today at Silverstone. They're going to run this car today, so that shows you Mercedes are more or less, they're on time with what they're doing. The cars are shorter, they're narrower. The front wing, more important this year. It used to be the floor that generated all the kind of performance, but now it's the active aerodynamics, as it's called. And you'll see here as well push rod suspension, which is a little bit of a change from last year, and this is pretty much across the board in all the cars now, and that is actually to enable the teams to do more with the front wing as well. Mercedes side pods, Jamie, interesting. A couple of years ago, at the start of the previous rules iteration, they came out with a car with no side pods. These are quite unusual because it's a little sort of valley. Yeah. A lot of the other cars we've seen so far, the side pods dip and go down, feeding the air towards the floor of the car. This sort of rises back up again, which is a curious little thing. Let's see if they persist with that. But yeah, it's on track today, this Mercedes. I spoke to some of their senior personnel yesterday about how they were doing. And like most of the teams I've spoken to, because it's a big rules change, an awful lot of work to do to get things ready. Yeah. Even McLaren won't run their car maybe till the third day of pre-season testing next week. You're only allowed 3 days. The one other thing to point out, Microsoft sponsorship, $60 million a year deal. That is all the big American tech firms getting into F1 these days. Yeah,
not a bad partner to have on board. But we love a bit of a Barney, Craig. So tell us what it's all about. Some teams have raised concerns over Mercedes' power unit, the legality of their power unit. Tell us about that.
It's the old-fashioned bit of the power unit. It's the internal combustion engine, which is what this is about. To explain it most simply, when the piston fires in an engine, it shoots up towards the top of the chamber. At the moment, the rule is that it's a 16-to-1 ratio. So that's to say that the piston can shoot up 16 points here, 1 point there, sort of thing. Thermal expansion, though, can take place when the engine heats up. And Mercedes rivals, and Red Bull's rivals as well, they think that when the engine heats up, the piston maybe can rise higher so that it's actually an 18-to-1 ratio here. Doesn't seem much. People are saying this could add 0.3 of a second a lap to a car. That's the difference between getting pole and being outside the top 10 in F1 these days. So there's a meeting going on at the moment with the FIA. This is being discussed. Red Bull relaxed that their engine is fine within the rules. One of their engineers said, if you don't understand thermal expansion, you don't deserve to be in Formula One. This is what Mercedes' Bradley Lord had to say about the situation.
Brand new rules, lots of new opportunities, lots of new details to be thinking about. And, we know Formula One is a sport of super fine margins, attention to detail, but also innovation. And everyone has the same rule book, everyone has the same opportunity. And, we're confident we've absolutely worked to that. And time will tell who's found the best innovations, who's fastest on track, and what difference things may or may not make. And all of that at the moment is uncertain. So it's exciting to find that out too.
Understatement here. Pretty miserable first season for Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari, wasn't it? And if Mercedes dominate, could that pose another problem for Lewis Hamilton and for Ferrari?
He's 41 now, Jamie. What if Ferrari are a little bit behind? They don't seem to have at least exploited this aspect of the rules. Mercedes are powering 3 other teams, including McLaren, who are only just second favourites in the standings behind Mercedes. If this engine is the performance differentiator, and if the Mercedes engines dominate, it could be that Ferrari are fighting over scraps potentially at the start of the season until that equalisation process starts, gains pace. Would be good news for Williams, which will be improving in recent years, for Alpine as well, who have ditched their own Renault-built engines to take Mercedes power units. That shows you how significant they could potentially be when an actual car manufacturer is getting rid of its own engines to take the Mercedes ones. What does it all mean for Lewis Hamilton? Ross Brawn brought him to Mercedes, remember, back in the day, was also the individual that really made the difference at Ferrari when Michael Schumacher was winning all those titles. I asked him yesterday, how tough is it going to be for Hamilton, as great as he is, to turn things around? Here's what Ross had to say.
I think whenever new regulations come in, as we've seen in the past, always someone takes a clever interpretation. That's what's happened. So I think, and of course for the other teams, the best form of defence is attack. So that's what they're doing.
Lewis faces a pivotal year at Ferrari. How tough will it be for him to recover, turn it around and make a success of this chapter?
I think we'd all love for him to be successful. I mean, I've got a special place for Ferrari. I've been there 10 years. I know how tough it is there. But, there's always a fine line between a team gelling and not quite gelling, and it didn't quite gel last year. But, I mean, if he gets some incentives, if he sees there's an opportunity, I think we'll see a vintage Lewis. So I'm hoping that happens.
One of the things, Jamie, that was a discussion point last year was, are Ferrari actually listening to Lewis Hamilton? He seemed to struggle with his race engineer last year in terms of communication. That race engineer position will change. Luca Diella, we're thinking, will take that job over. He's someone that Lewis Hamilton knew well from Mercedes and has actually moved to Ferrari around about the same time Lewis has. But it's going to be a big talking point, especially if Ferrari don't start well. Just exactly what does Lewis do? Does he stick with it again? Or will the murmurings about, is it time for him to call it a day, will they gather pace?